Start recording?
Starting recording now.
Okay. I have an
This
announcement to
conference
read.
will now be recorded.
Oh, there you go.
Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, General Law C 30A 18, and the Governor's March 15th, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the Town of Harwich Recreation and Youth Commission is being conducted via remote participation. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings as provided for in the order. Despite our best efforts, we are not able to provide for real-time access, and we will post a record of this meeting on the city/town's website as soon as we are able. That being said, Eric, are you gonna keep everybody unmuted?
I'm going to keep everybody unmuted unless we have to change that for any reason.
Okay, do me a favor, everybody, and I don't mean to be like you don't know what's going on, but raise your hand when you want to speak because it's gonna be very confusing, so.
Van will have to get in touch with you we can't see Van, so.
David Nixon,
You need to open with a roll call vote, John.
I can do that. Michael Hurley,
Present.
David Nixon,
Present.
Van Cachadorian,
Present.
John Mahan, present. So that gives us a number of 4, which is a quorum. So with all of that said, we're going to start the meeting. Who is running the public? Who's running the public comment? Anybody, Eric? I mean, is Jamie doing that? If they wanted to call in.
Oh, yeah, I believe so. I wasn't told. I don't think we have any callers at the moment.
Okay.
Yep.
Public presentations, we don't have any. We have minutes from 11:26 and 1:28. What's your pleasure?
I move, this is Van. I move 11/26/2019.
Okay, we have a second by,
David.
so we have a motion from Van and a second from David Nixon. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Roll
Hold
call
on,
vote.
do a roll call. Michael?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Van?
Aye.
And I'm an aye, so that's unanimously. Okay, we have minutes from January 28th. What's your pleasure?
This is Van. I move 1/28/2020.
Second.
Second? Do we have a second?
Yep, second.
So we have a motion by Van with a second by Michael Hurley. Any discussion? Hearing none. Michael Hurley,
Aye.
David Nixon,
Aye.
Van,
Aye.
and I'm an aye, so it's 4-0. Okay, moving on to Director's Report. Eric?
Yeah, we have a couple quick updates on Director's Report. Under summer financials, we wrapped up the beach season yesterday. It turns out we did come in right around, I have to do the final tallies tomorrow, but right around 66,000, which is about 11,000 less than last year, which isn't bad considering we weren't selling at Earl Road or Pleasant this year. And Red River was a third blocked off for half the season. We also ended up writing about $27,000 worth of parking violations, which is up about $3,000 from last year. So that's up a little bit. Should I just go through everything and then go to questions, John, or do you want to?
No, why don't we, everybody's had the packet. If anybody has specific questions, I'll open it to that. Michael, nothing new to add, Eric.
Should I go down the list of the rest of the stuff?
Oh, you have other things to add?
Yeah, just a couple little things.
Okay, go ahead with your list, please.
For fall 2020, I did meet with Megan. Me and Sue Frazier met with Megan Eldridge to see what we could do this fall, and the answer is not too much, but we're going to do what we can. We can't bring anybody to the community center and use the gymnasium. We can't really transport them from the elementary school like we usually do because of restrictions on the vans. So what we're going to do is we're going to have some programming that we're going to have people go over and walk them from the elementary school over to the cultural center. If it's an indoor program, we can only do groups of 10 at a time. Outdoor could have a little more. We're still working out exactly how we're going to do this. The problem with indoor and 10 people at a time is how are we going to choose what 10 get to be in the program? Because we're going to have a flood of people that would want to do that. So we're working through that. We're not going to offer anything until October. We want to make sure the schools are fully in session before we start taking signups for that, so we don't take a bunch of signups and have to reimburse everybody, if the schools go to remote. That's the fall update. Annual town meeting is September 26th. As far as late summer beaches, the option of keeping them open later to bring in more revenue, I never heard back from administration on that, so I'm guessing it's obviously a no-go for this year. And that was all I had for updates.
Michael, any questions on the director's report to Eric?
Nope, just a quick comment, Mr. Chair. Just being down there this summer at the beaches and ponds, the staff did amazing under some tough conditions sometimes with some very difficult people. So in the cases I saw, they were very professional, spoke with people very well, and diffused it. So just a great staff, great summer.
Great, thank you, Michael. David?
I'm all set. Thank you.
Van?
I want to echo what Michael said. I drove down the beaches just about every other day, and I was down there yesterday, and I saw a large number of people down there. So we got a lot out of Red River and Bank. I didn't go up to the other beaches, but the Red River was packed as usual. And what I saw, I was very pleased with the lifeguards, and hopefully we can continue with this in the future.
Okay, thank you. Good job, Eric.
Thank you.
David, any comments? You're all set. So we're going on to property maintenance report. You have that in your packet. Any comments, questions for Eric? Michael?
Good, thanks.
David?
All set. Thanks.
Dan?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. Moving on, budget reports. Eric, please.
Yeah, budget reports. There is one piece in your packet. I'm going to get you more information on budgets and revolving funds. We're having issues right now getting accurate stuff because they moved to a month-by-month budget until town meeting goes through. So I'm going to work on that tomorrow. As soon as I have hard numbers on the budget and the revolving fund, I'm going to send out an email to everyone.
Okay, thank you, Eric. Any questions for Eric regarding the budget? Okay. Hearing none, we'll go to chairman's report. The only thing I have to report, it's brief and it will be followed up. I've heard some concerns with dogs on Potter and Memorial from the highway department. It's becoming an issue with dogs not being picked up after, and with kids and people and adults playing on those fields, not a good mix. I have been in contact with the animal control officer. I'm going to put this on the agenda in the future to see how we want to handle that. But just want to bring it to your attention.
John, if I may add to that.
Yes, Van, please do.
Back at behind the first base dugout, there is a sign that prohibits all of our rules and regulations. Unfortunately, nobody is reading that sign because of the location. Maybe if we had some additional signs posted on the road into the complex, it might be more effective.
We have to look into the rules and regs for dogs on fields and so on. It's not as simple, I don't believe, as putting up a sign. That's why I want to get it as an agenda item, Van.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, thank you. Okay, liaison report, Mr. Nixon.
So from the Community Preservation Committee, we're changing the deadline for the October service that we provide. That's going to be discussed. There's a tentative deadline, but we have to make sure that it's going to meet everybody's criteria. As you know, town meeting was delayed, so we're going to have all our articles put to town meeting. And I'm going to get an updated financial picture from the finance director the 15th of this month. It'll be a lot clearer as far as future appropriations is concerned. I've already talked to Eric about the applications for Sand Pond and for senior softball and fencing. I made some recommendations. One recommendation I didn't make to Eric was if there's any chance of getting photographs of the senior fence. A few of the members.
Which
sorry. Senior Memorial. A couple of members went down, looked at the fencing, but I would like the photographs for all the members to see how bad the condition is.
That was in the packet as well. You want more?
Please. And that's about it. Any questions from the board?
Michael?
Good, thank you.
Van?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. All set, David. Thank you very much. Eric, can you also get a hold of Landmark and get an update for the estimate for the fence for the softball field?
Yep,
Might as well have a fresh number for the application.
makes sense.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Welcome, David. Thank you. We have a letter from Peter DeBacher that was in your packet regarding thoughts and plans for the Hollow. I believe, as Eric and I spoke earlier, that this appears to be on hold at the moment for obvious reasons. I think what I'd like, with your blessing, is to ask the director to get a hold of Highway and see, because they were the liaison with Miss Daniels. Is that who it was, Eric?
Yes.
Yes. So with your permission, let Eric follow up on that and report to us in 2 weeks. Michael, you okay with that?
Good, yeah.
David?
Yes.
Dan?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, thank you. The next one is, oops, didn't want to fold that over. The next one was a thank you letter we saw from Carolyn Carey regarding the celebration and the cooperation she received from the rec department for the anniversary. Thank you very much, Eric. Good job to you and the staff. Good to see. Can't believe it's 20 years old.
Wow.
The next one, questions?
Yeah, are they going to do, John, a quick question. Are they going to do any kind of a planned ceremony or something, a dedication or whatever for 20 years, do you know?
They did I forget when it was. I think it was back in February or January before we shut down. They did a little celebration in the multi-purpose room where some selectmen were there, the town administrator at the time. That's all that I know of.
Thank you.
Okay. The next one is the certified habitat sign. That is done and gone. That was put, they didn't put it at Brooks Park. I believe they put it at the community center, right, Eric?
Yes.
Yes. So that's all set. The next one is in regards to a correspondence from Maureen Healy from the After Prom Planning Committee requesting the release of funds for the 2021 prom. I'm going to ask Eric, again with the commission's blessing, to follow up. Curious as to where the 2020 money went, because they didn't have a 2020 prom. So
They did not get
unless
that.
anybody objects,
They
Hold on,
did,
wait.
somebody's,
They did not get the 2020 funding because they did not request it.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Then we're okay for this year?
If they have one in 2021, yes.
Okay, I didn't know they didn't get it last. Okay. That can make that easy.
And we don't need a vote on that, Eric. That's just a
Nope.
formality. David Nixon.
Will that include 2 years of funding?
No.
No. Okay, any other questions? Okay. The next one, Van,
Yeah.
This is-
Before you
this is senior
get
softball.
started, John, before
Yeah.
you get started with that item, I'd like to be on record of recusing myself from any discussion relative to that item.
thank you very much. The next one, as you have seen in your packet, is a request from the Board of Directors of Cape Cod Senior Softball. And they are in very great detail, have detailed or shown us their, like everybody else, their loss this season between sponsors and players and no fall classic, which unfortunately is supposed to be happening this week, right? So that being said, they are requesting some relief on what would be a $2,000, 2,000, Eric?
Yes, yep,
$1,000 per field.
yep. That's the cap.
They are requesting some relief. I don't know if anybody's been down there lately. They did a great job redoing the 3 sheds. They painted them. They replaced some trim and some other things. And as you've seen in the packet, they do put a lot of their own funding into this. And they're making a request. And I'm gonna hand it to defer to the director and see what his thoughts are.
Yeah, they had, like John said, they have done quite a bit of work down there, and it is it's kind of a unique season this year. So my recommendation would be to give relief, at least for this year. I don't think it'd be in perpetuity. My recommendation would be to bring the total fee from $2,000 to $1,500 for the 2 fields use. The only problem I'm just realizing is if Van is recusing himself, can we vote with only 3?
I'm here, Eric. Eric, I'm here.
Oh,
Oh, Frank's here.
I was just about to ask where Frank was.
I had definitely, it wouldn't take the access, my code. I don't know.
Okay,
Oh.
so we do have a quorum on that, so I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we grant relief to the senior softball for the 21 season.
20 season, David.
20 season.
FY '21.
Oh,
FY '21. In the amount of $2,000.
they paid $2,000, David, right now. They're looking for relief on that. Eric's suggestion was reduce it from 2,000 to 1,500. Are you looking to eliminate their 2,000?
Have they used the field at all?
Oh,
Yes,
yes.
they have. Yep.
Oh,
They've hit the cap
I
on it.
withdraw my motion.
I can make a motion to make it $1,500 for the season and place it at $2,000.
Okay, we have a
I will
motion
second
from
that.
Frank. We have a second from David Nixon. Any discussion? Michael?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Frank?
No,
And I am on board, so I'm an aye, 4-0. Thank you, everybody. Okay, the next one is a pretty lengthy request from the Harwich Conservation Trust regarding the, what is, I believe, the Smith Conservation Area off of Bank Street. They're looking to do some improvements over there, make it, wheelchair accessible. this gentleman would like to present, but I wanted to just get it in the back of your brains regarding this request. My first thing is I give the Harwich Conservation Trust a huge thank you for showing us the courtesy of coming forward to us instead of going directly to CPC like most do. We've been asking this for years, and I believe they may be the first ones that have done it the way we requested, so very much appreciated. I think my own opinion is I think we get them on the agenda for the 28th meeting and ask them to present. You've had a chance, that way you'll have a little bit further time to review this plan and have some questions for them on the 22nd. Does anybody have an objection to that or comment? Michael?
Nope, I think that sounds great.
David?
Sounds good, John.
Frank?
No objection from me, John. I
Van?
think it's a good idea.
It sounds all right, fine.
Okay. So Eric, you'll reach out to Michael Locke and ask him to be remote on the 22nd.
You got it. Yep.
Thank you very much. The next one is a letter from, and I'm going to destroy the name, Pamela Volakis. She's requesting a fall Tai Chi yoga class, and her thought is October 22nd. I mean, September 22nd to October 27th. This was in the packet. You've had a chance to read it. Eric, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts in reading the packet, we do things like this, like Michelle Inslee at Red River Beach. Usually we give the option of somebody getting paid by us and making it a rec program, or them being a subcontractor and there being a flat fee. One thing that I did notice though is that and I'm going to follow up with it, it does not look like Pam is a Harwich resident. So these are types of activities that we tend to try to give the opportunity to town residents to put forward. So my plan was to go back to her and just see if she is a Harwich resident. And it's for a very short period of time as well. It's the end of September through the end of October. So it may not be something we're interested at this time, but I will follow up with her.
Eric, I do see, or I thought I saw, that she stays at a family house in Harwich Center.
Oh, okay.
I may, and now I can't see it, but I swear I read that.
It says I was biking along a bike path in
I
Harwich.
saw that too. John.
What's the commission think? Michael?
I mean, I would defer to Eric on this one, what his thought would be.
Okay. David?
Yeah, I'd be willing to wait till Eric gives a formal recommendation.
Thank you. Frank?
Yeah, we didn't have any exercise on the beach at all this summer though, did we?
Yeah, Michelle still did her yoga.
Oh, she did? Okay, yeah, I defer to Eric then after he talks to the lady.
And Van?
Well, yeah, we all know this has been an unprecedented year, and maybe we need to look at this more carefully as we move forward. I would ask Eric to look into this further.
Okay, thank you. That takes care of miscellaneous correspondence. Under old business, CPC projects, I don't believe unless Eric, yeah, go ahead, Eric, you must have some sort of an update, even if there's no update.
Yeah, the only update really is, well, like you said, there's no update. I've been contacting, and I just recently contacted again, Griffin. I copied Joe, Bob Lawton, anybody I could think of, really, just about where we are in the process with not only Brooks Park lights, but Sand Pond as well, the restroom. I haven't gotten a return email yet on that. The only other update I have is I did meet with John Shorey a couple weeks ago. He had questions from the finance committee standpoint on the projects and where they stand. So we had a good conversation. He had some hesitancies to approve new CPC projects, while we're still waiting for certain ones to get done from multiple years ago, I explained to him that we see our part of the projects as identifying the need and securing the funding, and then we hand it over to administration. So it's kind of been bogged down there, and he did seem to understand our plight there. And that we should be punished for somebody else holding it up a little bit. So that's basically the update I have on those. I wish I had more.
Okay,
Mr.
thank you.
Chairman,
Any question, Michael? I see you, David. Michael?
I think at this point, again, I mean, I understand COVID, but these have been very frustrating projects, especially the park lighting. I'm not sure through Eric or whoever, if we could put together a timeline of when the projects were recommended, funded, and where they stand, just so we can get that out public or out to committees.
I actually already did that.
Great.
And we sent it to Larry Ballantyne, the selectman from the Selectmen's Board of Selectmen, and also I gave one to John Shorey from the Finance Committee, so he knew what we've been doing.
I mean, my concern, like, you know, the whole committee is that at some point we're running out of money. Brooks Park lighting cannot come in at cost now. I can't imagine.
And we got the quote July 2017.
That was
I have it over
presented,
here in
I'm
the
sorry.
office.
We're gonna, hold on, Frank.
Okay.
Michael, you all set?
Yep, thank you.
David?
my only question is, from the recreation point of view, how do we deal with the procurement process? Do we have to have a sit down with administration, the entire board, or go to meeting? There needs to be something from the recreation point of view to push these particular projects we have hanging. And that's from a recreation commissioner, not the chair of the CPC.
Eric and I have met 3-4 times, Eric.
Yep.
The letter we sent last September, venting our frustration with the process, opened up the door, and we had a meeting with, at that point, it was Chris Clark, Highway, Griffin. That was in October, November, Eric.
Yeah, October.
Then we met with them again in February. That's when Eric and myself took over the Title V at Sand Pond, because we thought we could get it done and take it off their plate to kind of expedite things. So things have been, we haven't done it lately. I spoke to the chair of Board of Selectmen 3 weeks ago, venting my frustration once again. I'll do whatever the commission's pleasure is, but I don't think there's anybody that doesn't realize the urgency of getting the RFP for the Brooks Park lights out. I mean, there's not a bone in my body thinks we're gonna have enough money. But just put it out there. David?
Article in the paper? Again, it's how much pressure you want to exert. I mean, if we put the CPC, if the board members of the CPC see non-action in all these other incidents, I can't see how they're going to vote forward in recreational. There's going to be some big questions.
I guess my counterpoint to that would be, how many years have we been doing CPC? Eric, do you know?
Oh, gosh.
So 5?
Yeah, 05. Yep.
So the
05?
More
first
than 5.
project that hit us, the first project that hit a snag in a delay was the Brooks Park lights. I understand where CPC is coming from. I'm willing to do anything to get the project done, but this has nothing to do. That project was sent to administration in June of 2018 with the funding to do it. So whether it be finance or whatever, I don't see how this can come back on recreation, but I understand the funding is our request. So yes, David.
John, just so you know, as advocate for the rec, I've argued those points with the CPC board,
And,
so the committee understands.
okay, Michael, you had your hand up.
I mean, personally, before going to the press, I mean, I know town meeting is coming up in a few weeks, that maybe after town meeting, we could get on the agenda, on a Monday night meeting. I'm not sure, and just kind of just say our plight. And again, not trying to roll anybody under the bus, but these projects got to get moved. I'm not sure if
So
that
your
would-
recommendation is after town meeting?
I would say right now, I'm sure they got their plate
Yep.
full until town meeting, but maybe we could get on the next agenda after and go forward, and with Eric's timeline and what we have, and just say, we need help, whether it's getting a per diem consultant to get these projects vetted. I mean, we need something here, to move this forward.
Okay. Good idea. Eric?
Yeah, the other point, when I did meet with John Shorey from Finance Committee, he made a point to say that, he does realize that there's a lot of projects stacked up there. It's not just us. There's tons of projects stacked up. But he's
15 million.
Yeah, he's particularly concerned about the rec department. But he said he was planning to get in touch with Joe and Larry and meet with them both. So hopefully, I mean, not that it's helped when we've done it, but maybe it'll help. Hopefully he'll meet with them and follow up on that and give a little push.
Absolutely. Yes, Van?
Do you think that some of the problems might stem from the fact that we've had a little turmoil up at the town hall in terms of the number of changes being made with administration, and that all buttressed into what we're dealing with in terms of the virus today, that people really don't have their head into this kind of stuff right now? And there seems to be a lot of uncertainties in terms of where we go and how we go about doing it. On that basis, I would not really think that the newspaper, going to the newspaper would be appropriate. I think, as Michael said, maybe we need to have another sit-down with administration and really lay out very carefully and very succinctly our concerns and see if we can get somebody to move ahead with this.
Okay, Frank? Thank you, Van.
Yeah, we hired the consultants and the engineer, and those are the people we haven't heard from, and they were told there was a deadline. And October 1st, I think we said was the deadline.
I think we requested their report and the estimate by the
Yes.
middle of October, so that we could have a meeting of the Recreation Commission and discuss it and vote it for October 1st. And that's
Middle of September, I think you mean, John. So we could vote it October 1st? Yes.
yes.
When is CPC deadline? We have to have projects in.
That's changed. It's under discussion right now, Frank.
Okay. Very good, Dave.
And by the way, folks, we're going to go to meeting, so this is now all in the public.
So I could get a hold of the chairman of the Board of Selectmen, ask him to get on the agenda for first part of October, and go from there. I don't come back till I'm in Colorado from the 25th to the 5th, so I'll miss that first Monday. And I think the following Monday is Columbus Day, if I'm not mistaken. But I think they'll probably meet that Tuesday. So I'm happy to do that. I hate to do it, but I think we need to.
Okay.
I agree.
We're not only waiting on the lights. The lights I somewhat understand. We're waiting on an RFP for Sand Pond bathroom, which we've done half a dozen of. So it's not just Brooks Park that we're waiting on.
Not to mention opening up Brooks Park restroom.
Well, I was going to mention that. What's the status in the Brooks Park bathroom?
Nothing
Well,
to report
Mr.
other than
Chairman,
Jay is in receipt, has reviewed it, and they've been in contact with Griffin. It's all. David?
it's all inclusive, Brooks Park.
Okay. So that's where we are on the CPC project updates. Brooks Park Tennis Courts, Eric, please.
Yeah, Brooks Park Tennis Courts, we did get an estimate on cracks that are in the tennis courts. Estimate came out to like it almost was a complete resurfacing at $32,450. Repairing the cracks only was $9,975, all high price tags. In the meantime, I have a call into Chris Nickerson to see what can be done to, even if it's a temporary fix for the winter, until we could put in a bigger request for funding. So I'm waiting to hear back from him. We may want to look into, I spoke with John about this at one point, that we may want to look into resurfacing the whole thing and putting it in as an article, whether it be CPC or capital next year. And if we could get a temporary fix for now to keep it from getting worse over the winter.
Eric, can you please find out when we resurface those last and let us know?
Sure.
Thank you. Any Michael Hurley questions?
Nope, I'm good.
David?
No, all set.
Vaughn?
I'm good, thank you.
Frank?
You can get that. It's an acrylic crack filler, and it sells for about $86 a gallon. So what it would take, I don't know. But East Coast could also do that if the highway department couldn't do it. Their bid was for putting down the fiberglass, layers of fiberglass, and the goof layers of fiberglass, which is pretty extensive. You can put in a patch, which is a Band-Aid type thing, which will pull us through the winter. Either the highway could do it, or if they can't do it, East Coast could do it. But it's getting late.
Okay.
David Nixon, hand up.
Is that a temporary fix?
Well, yeah, it will eventually crack right where you put the stuff, because I've seen it happen in other courts in other towns. But it would get you
Where
through
I'm
the winter,
going,
that's for sure.
Frank, where I'm going, Frank, this is if the town does the maintenance on it and it re-fractures or does something else, then it'll meet the CPC requirement.
We made an effort.
Yep.
Okay, good input, David. Okay? No, and Frank, you're right on, we're running out of time. If we're gonna get that done for this winter, Eric,
They have to go when
can
it's
you
warm.
please follow up with Chris in the next day or two?
Will do.
I got the names of suppliers, but I'm sure he could find the suppliers. Tennis supplies and equipment is one of them, and Sportsmaster is another one.
I wonder if one of those company that does the sealing of roads and parking lots, you see them seal, they blow out the cracks. I wonder if somebody like that, I don't know, I'm just guessing.
We
So if you could
want
follow
it
up
to
with
be
Chris Nick.
we want it to be flush though, John. We don't want a bump there. It has to be flush.
Yeah,
Yeah, flush.
2020 CPC project discussions. So Eric, Michael, let's start with you. Do you have anything on your mind that you'd like to see put forward for the coming CPC season?
Just, back to Sam Pond again, not to beat that to death over the years. I know we're trying to get moving on that bathroom, but for West Harwich and that area and a lot of public input, I think people would really love to see that area revitalized over there and, become a useful pond for the town. So that would be on the top of my list.
Okay, thank you. David?
All projects from last year, I'd like to see go forward, Sam Pond and senior softball fencing.
I'm looking, at this point, I totally agree with you, David. Anything new you would like to see that we didn't have from last year?
If Frank does whatever voodoo Frank does.
Okay. Vaughn?
Yeah, I'm sure all of you have been down to the pickleball courts this summer during the peak of the activities down there. I just think that we need to look at some additional pickleball courts beyond what we have. I noticed that in my observations, that a lot of people sitting, waiting to get their turn on the courts. And, some of these communities have 10, 15 pickleball courts, and I'm not suggesting we match that, but at least if we had a couple more, it might be able to help the program even further. It's become very popular, as you all know.
Okay, thanks, Van. Frank?
Yeah,
Don't
Frank,
tell me you want softball fields, Frank.
yeah, well, we need some softball fields, man. Okay. Yeah, the Grafton area that is new next to the new parking lot, it's pretty barren now. It hasn't seen water, fertilizer, or anything since it was done. We need a sprinkler system there. And also some kind of concrete pad right outside the main gate of the pickleball courts. And the reason for that is, well, the mornings are damp now, and sand is dragged into the court constantly. We have brooms, we have blowers, but it still becomes very dangerous as soon as it dries. People slip, they go down, they end up with a broken wrist. It happened last year. One lady broke both wrists. So something that should be done there. And the Grafton area that I was just talking about, putting some benches there and a couple of trees. I see quite often people bring a chair there this summer and just sit there and soak up the sun. And kids playing, throwing a football or frisbee or whatever.
Okay. Thanks, Frank.
Okay.
Just as an FYI, there is not one area of Brooks Park except the baseball field that's irrigated. The gazebo area is not. The pavilion area is not. So
Yeah, you're absolutely right, John. But those areas all have a lot of trees around there too. What I'm talking about, you go up and look at it. There's more just sand and dirt and grass. That's for sure.
I totally agree with you, Frank. But I'm just saying. Somebody might say, why are we choosing that one area to hydrate? The lawn at the Brooks Park proper is kind of burnt out and beat up too. But that was just an FYI.
Yeah, okay. We could do the whole park if they want. I was just thinking,
What's that?
Boy. I was just thinking we could do the whole park if they like, if someone wants, but try for it. But I was just thinking that area definitely is in the sun all day.
Okay. Now, I guess the question would be, and I'll defer to Frank and Eric, what would be a reasonable, Eric, what are your thoughts on pickleball, number one? Number two would be, if we do need more, how many?
You're asking me or Eric?
I'm asking Eric first, please.
Okay.
My thoughts are, obviously the pickleball courts are very crowded, and we could definitely, I think we could fill another couple courts. And then Frank's points are good too about things that we need to upgrade down there. My fear in going back to CPC this year with Brooks Park related items is that a big part of our presentation for the lights was that this was our last phase. And I think there'd be some benefit to at least giving a buffer of a year before we come right back to them for Brooks Park when we just told them we were asking for money for the last phase. I don't know if there's other ideas of things we can do other than the senior memorial and the sand pond this year, and then come back to Brooks next year. But I do think it's a valid thought. Pickleball courts, things like benches, a small concrete pad, those are things that we could slowly do piecemeal without a big article, I think. Irrigation's another story. That would, especially if we did the whole park and not just a small section, that would require an article.
Okay, Frank, so but Eric, I'll go back to you.
Sure.
If it were in the budget, how many courts do you suggest that we would need?
I'd say, Frank would know better than I would, but I'd say another one more court that fits, one more like tennis court.
Four
more courts.
Four more courts, yeah.
Yeah, one tennis court equates to 4 pickleball courts,
Yeah.
size-wise. And
That would be
my my thinking is, we ended up with quite a few people there this year, but many people still did not come out, you know, and I was in contact with someone to see if they were ill or something, and they had, you were still fearful of coming out. And with 4 more courts, we will be able to accommodate more of the youth and more of the tourists. We really can't do that too well now. Not during the morning hours anyways. In the heat of the afternoon, I see them up there. Some people are up there, but certainly not in
Greg,
the
what
morning.
was going on there yesterday? Did you guys have a quasi-tournament?
No, there's no tournament.
No, I mean, the
A lot of
parking lot yesterday morning was packed from 6 a.m. until 11 o'clock. I mean, both lots.
There are our official hours are 8 to 12, but there are people, you can get sometimes a parking spot at 9 because people are leaving. Some of those guys get there at 6:30 in the morning, mainly because of the heat, you know, and they're all done by 9 o'clock, 8:30, 9 o'clock.
Okay. Anything else on CPC project discussion? Eric, while we're talking about maybe not Brooks Park, what is the next step at Sand Pond?
Sand Pond, oh, after the, if we get money here, you mean? I'll
Yep.
tell you, I got it right here. So the last phase, if we went with what we were planning, would not be a really large one. It would include a storage shed. Because, you know, once we get all this stuff done, the goal was to maybe bring lifeguards back. If we start getting more crowds there, we could start selling day passes there, which would require a gate attendant. But, you know, that would bring in revenue as well for the beach. So we'd have to have another lifeguard stand built, a storage shed. And the only other thing that I had on phase 2, I guess, would be a kayak rental launch area for a second location for kayaks. There's not much you have to do as far as the launch area itself, but maybe a storage spot for kayaks. So those were the 3 things on the list for phase 2.
So maybe we don't have to decide, right? Maybe we decide that we roll that into this year's Sand Pond request and wrap that up. You know, there's been some chatter. I mean, Michael saw it. He sent it over to me about Sand Pond and the current condition that it's in and the bathrooms and whatnot. Maybe we just finish that whole project up in this request. What do you think you're talking money there, Eric?
I think you're probably not talking more than maybe an extra 20,000.
At least.
The article that we carried over from last year is how much?
80, hold on, I have it right here. 83,500. A lifeguard stand is, you know, anywhere between $3,000 and $5,000. A storage shed, and then if you're talking a kayak rack, I think 20,000 would cover it.
Something to think about. Put that on the agenda again for next month, if you would, please.
Sure.
Any other, David?
Can I go back for a moment to Brooks Park? And as a former tennis player, I'd like to see the tennis practice net tightened, because it's getting tough for me to get down into the gully to retrieve the balls I'm hitting over the top.
Okay.
Well, don't hit them over the top.
Oh,
And the next thing is, getting back to Sand Pond, I had asked, as for the photographs, new photographs of the fence, I'd asked for a more in-depth design for Sand Pond, more completed information, because that was what the CPC board requested last year. And I'm sure they're going to request it again this year. So however you can incorporate whatever ideas you have, if you can embellish on it, and some type of site plan
Yeah, and I gave,
that's not necessarily from an engineer.
well, the one I gave you, remember you picked up the big one?
Right.
was in a small format in the packet. I'm not sure what else I could do to show without having an actual engineer do it. And if we have our engineer do it, we may not have it until, 10 years from now, so.
Eric, can you include the items we're talking about tonight?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Michael?
Thank you.
David, you all set?
One thing, those items were on the plan in a different color code to show that they would be a future phase. So, but I'll try to find ways to make it even more detailed if I can.
Eric, I'll touch base with you on that. Maybe we can ask a favor and get
Okay,
a quasi fancy plan.
okay.
Okay. Michael?
Thank you.
Just a quick question going back to Sam Pond. I know during discussions last year, the talk of a small type playground area or a recreation area. And do we have to do anything with the beach or the sand there to revitalize that?
Part of it would be, yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot about that. The next phase would be renourishment. We would need some more sand down there, just to build up the beach a little bit. I think part of it will be helped with some of the dead pine trees that would come down to add more beach space. But I'd have to look into the harbor master to see how much, or highway department to see how much it would cost to get some sand down there. Because I don't believe we can relocate dredged sand from oceanfront to a pond.
No, you can't.
Okay, so put that on the list, please, Eric.
Sand too, yep, got it.
That's been a comment that the beach is kind of gnarly.
Yep.
Anything else, Michael?
Nope, that's great. Thank you.
Van?
I'm good, thank you.
Frank?
Yeah, when you speak to Chris Nickerson about patching the courts, also the original basketball court has a major crack that should be attended to too.
Got it.
Frank, back to your comment about a cement pad. Would that be on the far end of the tennis courts? I mean, of the pickleball courts?
Yes, right next to the woods. So it was grass there, John, but it's all just sand now. And anytime it's damp, like today, the mornings now, they're all damp. Or anytime it rains, that sand gets dragged into the court. We broom it, we blow it, but it's just in there all the time.
How big of a cement pad would you need, Frank?
I'm just thinking of a place to put the benches and tables. That's all. I was thinking 15 by whatever. 15 by 30, something like that.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, I don't think cement may not be the best
Or
alternative.
pavers or asphalt
Yeah,
or
okay, all right. I just didn't know what you were talking about. That's why I brought it back up again. Okay. All right. If we're all set on that, we're going to move to, I'm going to request that we hold off on the aid to programs. Eric's going to follow up on that. Eric, can make sure that invoice doesn't get paid, please.
Okay.
Okay. There was a request in there, just so everybody knows what he's going to follow up on, to pay the band conductor for this summer. They didn't have any band concerts. So I guess the question is,
They had two,
they did?
yeah.
Yeah, before the
have some,
governor
yeah.
moved it back to 50.
then they stopped.
$1,400
What's that? I'm sorry, Michael?
I think they did have a few, and then when the governor moved it back to 50 outdoors, they canceled the remainder.
You're right.
Okay. I mean, does the commission wish Eric to look into it and give us an update on the 22nd, or just move forward?
Can it prorate for the events they had?
I could ask him about that.
Why don't you look into it further and come back with a recommendation?
Second.
Just want them to know we're paying attention. David, I'm sorry.
What do we do traditionally, Eric?
We usually pay out, they have a section in our budget that used to be called aid to programs. What is it now, Lee? Is it 2,500 still?
Yes.
And we usually pay out because there's usually nothing stopping their normal scheduling. But this year, if they did 2 concerts, it's significantly less than they usually do. So I could touch base with them and see if they really need that 1,400 or if there's a smaller number like you said, to let them know that we are paying attention.
John, I think that maybe we should have Eric sit down and try to negotiate a figure and come back with a recommendation.
I think, John,
Okay, Frank?
yeah, I think the money we give them, I think they said once, is used mostly for sheet music. They have to buy all that sheet music. So they probably did that before they ever started.
This
So
one's
probably
specifically to pay the conductor. It said in the invoice.
Oh, okay. Well, he had to prepare everything before the season started, I'm sure.
That's true. That's true.
All right, well, if it's the pleasure, we'll bring it back on the 22nd. Okay. Next thing is, two things, commission reappointments and reorganization. If no one has an objection, David Nixon would like to return as the rec appointee to the CPC. Okay,
No
I
objection.
don't need a vote. As long as no one has a problem with that, then I'll notify town hall tomorrow. So that's that. You are still willing to stay on, Mr. Nixon?
Yes.
Okay. Any issues? Hearing none, it looks like it's yours, David. Eric, do we not need an appointee to facilities?
We do.
We do.
Okay. Van, would that be something you'd be interested in?
I would.
Okay, well, if no one has an objection, that was Lee Culver's position. If no one has an objection, Van, I will inform them that you will be filling that slot.
Thank you.
Thank you. And reorganization,
John?
I
yes,
second.
John?
yes, yes.
I didn't
Van.
get it. What happened?
Van?
What?
What happened?
Oh, did you miss something?
I'm still here.
I was going to nominate John. What happened?
I second.
No one's going to nominate anybody else? We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Roll call vote.
Yes, David. Michael?
I want to make sure you stay there, John.
Yeah.
Michael?
I feel like this is Big Brother. Aye.
David?
Aye.
Vaughn?
Aye.
Frank?
Aye.
Okay. Sounds unanimous to me.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion for vice chair, Frank Crowley.
Second,
Second.
third,
We have a motion from Vaughn and a second from David Nixon, I believe. Any discussion? All those in favor, Michael?
aye.
David?
Aye.
Vaughn?
Yes.
And I'm an aye.
Aye.
So that's a unanimous vote.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Okay?
Treasurer.
And do we still do your position, Mr. Nixon?
We need a treasurer.
Vaughn has it.
Who has it?
I do.
Vaughn does.
All right. Somebody make a motion, please.
I'll make a motion for Vaughn Gatchadorian to be not secretary, treasurer.
Thanks, David.
You're welcome, Vaughn.
We have a motion from David Nixon, a second from Michael Hurley. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, Michael?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Frank?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Unanimous vote, Lee. Okay, unless there's anything under open session, I will entertain a motion.
No, before you do, John, John?
Yes, sir.
I just want to share with the commission members that, I don't know if they're aware, but down at Potter Field several weeks ago, there was some absolute unbelievable graffiti all over the dugouts, inside the dugouts at Potter. with some nasty, very nasty language and some very disgusting symbols of, you know, of our anatomy, and it was just a bad scene. And I think Brian Albee suggests that maybe we could paint that inside if you're willing to do that and support that. I have our painter that did all of the sheds. Maybe he can do something for us.
David?
Wouldn't it be cheaper just to have highway going and power wash it?
Absolutely. It's a mess. They did it all over the benches, the walls. It's disgusting.
It's still there, Van?
Wow.
Van, is it still there?
Yes.
All right.
They cleaned, I think somebody went down there and did something with the anatomy portion of the thing, of the mess, but the rest of the graffiti is up there.
I'll see if highway can power wash.
And if they can't, let me know, Eric.
Okay.
Anything else on, Michael, anything under open session?
I'm good, thank you.
David?
All set, John.
Vaughn, anything else?
Nothing else, thank you.
Frank?
There was a certain amount of vandalism at Brooks Park this year, and there was one particularly very abusive young man down there. So sometime in the future, if we ever get that bathroom open up, well, I suggest we get some kind of camera system going.
Okay. Now, Frank, was this the same gentleman that you had a run-in with?
Yeah, well, I thought he wanted to kick the ladder off from under me, and he cursing because I was putting up a windsock that was in, the American flag, where they have to have the stars and stripes on a windsock. It's up there now. He was very abusive and was threatening me, actually.
Did you see him again after that, Frank?
No, I didn't. I think the police did get him. I mean, they came flying in there because the basketball kids knew what was going on, and they called.
Okay.
They're good kids, the basketball kids, for the most part.
Sorry you had to deal with that.
There is an element of drinking. Well, you probably know that, but we've been finding beer cans all over the place and full beers in that new parking lot right up near the pickleball courts. And in fact, there were a couple of cans there yesterday, a whole cooler one day. So I don't know what's going on. Maybe the cops come in and the kids scatter and drop the beer. I don't know, but it's been never like that before with the beer.
Well, they've chased him out of other areas, so.
That's probably
Bank
it.
Street.
Yeah.
Chased him out of Bank Street Beach.
I will say, and while you're on that, Eric, I walked Bank Street the other day. This was by far the cleanest I've ever seen, with the exception of July 4th, when it was absolutely abysmal.
Yep.
They put the hammer down, and I didn't see any sign of nighttime activities going on there.
Yeah, they really stepped it up big time.
Yeah. So that's that. Anything else? Well, I want to
Motion
thank
to
everybody.
adjourn.
Was I the
wanna
only one that
thank
had trouble with
everybody. I know
going
this
to
wasn't
meetings?
easy. Hold on, Frank.
Okay.
I know this wasn't easy for everybody. It's been a long time. I just want to thank everybody for being patient and putting up with the delays and whatnot. So now that we have it, we can get back on a regular rotation.
When's our next meeting, John?
September 22nd.
Okay.
Okay?
Got it.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, John.
Thank you. I'm going to
Sign her
stop
off.
recording now. Oh, wait, you have to vote for,
Frank had a motion, or Vaughn had a motion to adjourn. Who seconded?
Second.
Thank you, Frank.
All those in favor, Michael,
Aye.
David,
Aye.
Aye.
Vaughn,
Aye.
it is unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you, good seeing everybody.
You too.
Good to see everybody.